Hello and welcome to Trial TV Live. I am the Squeegee of Justice. Thank you so much for joining us today as we are going to continue our deep dive into the Lori Daybell, Brandon Boudreaux upcoming trial, which will be June 2nd, which is just a few days away. If you're watching this live, that's going to be Monday. If you're watching this on Replay Crew, it is going to be a few days away. So, first off, we are going to watch Ian Pawlowski. He is, let me put us here, let me get us over here. We don't have a photo of him here, but he was married, I should say, currently married to Melani. So you see Brandon Boudreaux. He is the victim in this case, this upcoming case. He was shot at on October 2nd of 2019. The state alleges that Alex Cox was the shooter. That is the brother of Lori Daybell. You see Lori Daybell, she is, her charges are attempted first degree and conspiracy to commit first degree. So, Melani was married to Brandon. We heard both Melani and Brandon testify yesterday. We heard a little bit of Ian testifying, and we're going to hear now Ian testifying at Chad Daybell's trial. Yesterday we heard him testify in Lori's trial in 2023, and then today we're going to hear him testify in Chad's trial, which was last year. This actually took place May 6th of 2024, so it was just 1 year ago today. Oh, not today. 1 year ago and a couple of days. So, OnlyFan, hello to you. JWD, Super Kelly G, good to see you. Ruby and Brenda Meyer, thank you for joining us. Missy Russell, always good to see you. Nan R, thank you so much for joining us. Hey, Brat, how are you? So, after I play you this from last year, then I'm going to play you Lori's. She had two pre-trials yesterday. We did one live yesterday, and then there was one in the morning, so we're going to play that one at the end of this. So stick around for that, and let's get started. You hear Super Ball snoring? Super Ball snoring in the background.
Placed under oath, I do have an inquiry before we start on direct. Mr. Pawlowski, there is a exclusionary order not allowing you to listen to any court proceedings before you've testified. And this case has been streamed live as well as open to the public. So have you listened to or reviewed in any way any testimony that's occurred in the trial since it started?
No, sir.
All right. Have you talked to anyone else about their testimony?
No.
All right, thank you. Ms. Blake, you can inquire on direct.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you please state your name and spell it for the record?
Ian Pawlowski, IanPawlowski.
Do you know an individual named Lori Vallow?
Yes.
How do you know her?
I met her through my wife, Melani Pawlowski.
Do you know if she's related to Melani Pawlowski?
She's her aunt.
Do you know an individual named Alex Cox?
Yes.
And how do you know him?
Also met through my wife, Melani, and he is her uncle.
Do you know an individual named Chad Daybell?
Yes.
And how do you know him?
Met through Melani, married Lori Vallow.
Do you recall approximately when you met Lori and Chad?
I believe it was the 23rd or 24th of November, 2019.
Did you meet them in person?
Yes.
Do you recall where they were located when you met them?
They were in the apartment just next to Melani's apartment in Rexburg.
And do you recall when you first met Alex Cox?
It was the night that Melani and I got married.
And do you recall approximately when that was?
November 30th, 2019.
So he was not present when you met Chad and Lori?
No.
At a later date, did you have a conversation with Chad and Lori over Zoom?
Yes.
Why did you have that call with them?
It was to ask their blessing in marrying Melani.
And why did you want to ask their blessing in marrying her?
Because of how I understood the relationship that they had.
What did you understand about Melanie's relationship with them?
That Melanie had a kind of a parental view on them. Chad and Lori were kind of guides and supports to her at that point in her life.
When you reached out to them on Zoom, did the call actually take place?
Yes.
Did you end up asking for their blessing?
Yes.
Did they give it to you?
Yes.
Do you recall anything else that happened during that call?
They gave me, in addition to, giving me a blessing, or saying, they approve of me marrying Melanie. They gave me a religious blessing.
Was anything strange about the religious blessing to you?
It was unorthodox based on the LDS beliefs that I held at the time. They talked about shielding me with light, removing dark weapons from me. The fact that it did not occur in person. Typically, in LDS faith, when you receive a blessing, it's by the laying on of hands and not over Zoom.
Had you ever had a blessing like that before?
No.
Did you end up saying anything about thinking it was a little odd?
Yeah.
Did you say it to Chad and Lori at that time?
No, I said it to Melanie.
When you first met Chad and Lori on the 23rd or 24th of November, do you recall if you met Tylee Ryan at that time?
I didn't.
Did you meet JJ Vallow?
No.
Did you ever see them anywhere around?
No.
Did Lori ever mention them to you?
No.
Did Chad make mention of them?
No.
When you had the Zoom call, where were you located?
I was at my sister's house in Arizona.
Do you know where Chad and Lori were at that time?
I didn't.
Had Melanie shared, you said you mentioned the blessing was odd
Right.
to Melanie. At any point, did Melanie share some of the beliefs she'd been taught?
Yes.
At some point, did you start hearing some of those beliefs or teachings from Chad and Lori?
Yes.
When Melanie was sharing those with you, was that prior to your marriage?
Yes, there was some that was shared prior to my marriage, and then the bulk of it was the night that we got married.
Initially, were you somewhat open to some of the ideas she was sharing?
Yes,
How long did you remain open to those ideas?
until the night we got married.
What changed that night?
The weight of what she was sharing, the implications of what she was sharing, it was just hearing that she feared that Tylee and JJ may have been in danger at that time, and the behavior that she was seeing from Chad and Lori at that time.
Did what she shared with you cause you concern?
Yes.
Did something happen that next morning to amplify your concern?
Yes, that next morning, my daughter thought it would be funny to play hide and seek. And so I got up, I was looking for her. She would not answer. It was quiet in that hotel room for about 5 minutes. I couldn't find her. And then I heard some giggling. She was behind a curtain.
Based on what was shared with you, did you have concerns for the safety of JJ and Tylee?
Yes.
Did you have concerns for other people's safety?
Yes, I did.
Who were those individuals?
My 2 children and my ex-wife.
At some point, did you go to law enforcement with your concerns?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately when that would have been?
I believe that was December 4th or 5th.
Did you sit down with law enforcement at that time?
Yes.
Did you participate in an interview?
Yes.
Did law enforcement end up asking for your assistance?
Yes.
As part of that, did they ask you to record conversations?
Yes.
Did they instruct you to only record those conversations if you were present and part of the conversation?
Yes.
Did Chad and Lori ever talk to you or talk in front of you about people being light or dark?
Yes.
Do you recall specifically talk of law enforcement?
Yes.
What was shared with you in relation to law enforcement?
That there were specific detectives that had been possessed. I can't remember. There were a few different types of possession that they discussed. And I can't remember specifically what type of possession they classified, but there were a few detectives named.
Did they, and at the time these conversations took place, they would have been after December 4th or 5th of 2019?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately what time period you would have had these conversations or done the recordings?
Would have been the weekend that Melanie and I went on our honeymoon to Jackson.
Do you recall what weekend that would have been?
It was the weekend of my birthday, so December 6th, 7th, and 8th, I believe.
During that time, was there a recording made with Lori and Chad on the call?
Yes.
Were Zulema and Alex also on the call?
Yes.
And you and Melanie?
Yes.
Do you recall learning that Alex had passed away?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately when that would have been?
I want to say that was December 10th or 11th,
Of 2019?
2019. Yes.
Do you recall making a recording that day as well?
Yes.
And on that call, do you recall Chad and Lori being on the call?
Yes.
And you and Melanie?
Yes.
When these calls were being made, had you learned whether Tylee and JJ were missing?
Yes.
And did you know they were missing at that time?
Yes.
Where were you living in December of 2019?
I had an apartment just across the street from Melanie's, but I at that point after we got married, I had moved into Melanie's apartment.
And was that in Rexburg, Idaho?
Yes.
Do you recall Chad telling you anything in relation to whether or not you should move?
Yes.
And what did he direct?
That we should leave as soon as possible. Just get away from law enforcement, basically.
When you talked about Melanie's relationship with Chad and Lori, did she look to them as a mother and father figure?
Yes.
Do you feel she was susceptible to what they were telling her?
Yes.
Overall,
Yes, she was.
Your Honor, I have what's been marked as State's Exhibit 266A. It is a thumb drive. I am going to be asking to publish it.
all right. And describe what the contents are.
The recordings that were just referenced, I think I'll need to lay some additional foundation, and I recognize that, but it may include needing to play a portion of it to allow Mr. Pawlowski to identify it.
Okay, very well.
And if I can be handed that.
All right, Mr. Bailiff, we'll have that exhibit please return to council. And then for the limited purpose of establishing foundation, you can play a small portion without any content that would otherwise not be admissible.
And Mr. Pawlowski, you talked about making some recordings at the request of law enforcement. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And you talked about making one recording when you were on your honeymoon in Jackson.
Yes.
And again, do you recall when that was?
December 6th, I believe, or 7th that I made the recording.
And did you in fact turn those recordings over to law enforcement?
I did.
And if you were to hear a portion of what's purported to be that recording, do you think you would recognize it?
Absolutely.
Your Honor, I would ask to publish just the first portion.
You may.
So,
What's that?
so when Lucifer attacks,
And I'll stop it right there. Were you able to hear those initial voices?
Yes.
Do you recognize the female voice?
Yes, that's Melanie.
And do you recognize the male voice that was heard?
I'm not sure if that was Chad or Alex.
In what you heard from Melanie, do you recall this being the recording from the day we talked about?
Yes.
And Your Honor, I would move for admission of State's Exhibit 266A.
Any objection?
With the understanding, Judge, that the entire recording of 266A is included as an exhibit. If that's the case, there's no objection.
Okay. Ms. Blake, I'll admit it. I would like you, if you can, to reference the, if you have, for example, the length or duration of the call so that we can confirm that it's the entire recording being admitted.
Yes, Your Honor. The jump drive being admitted into evidence will have 87 minutes. It's the state's intent and request to publish portions of that, and I will put the time marks on the record as we publish those.
All right, that works. Thank you, Ms. Blake. So 266A is admitted in its entirety.
And Your Honor, for the record, I'm moving to the mark 6:36, so 6 minutes and 36 seconds.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
You guys heard about Gib yesterday?
No,
Well, she was talking to Dave, and Dave said the reason he wasn't moving forward in their relationship is because he never got a confirmation on zombies. He doesn't believe she was really ordained. And if she was really ordained in 140,000, we'd have a Peter James and Brennan.
right.
So he's not buying anything. And Gib said, talk yourself into thinking that the only way to clear her conscience is to call the police and tell them that she knows, which is that she never had JJ, and when she asked who it was, you and I told her that she was better off not knowing.
I said that?
That's what she says.
She threw me under the bus for nothing?
Yes. We were walking in the park.
No, not just you. She was throwing everybody under
She
the
was
bus.
throwing everybody in the bus because she thought the cops represented the Lord, and that was going to clear her conscience with God. Which made, she didn't even know what anything is.
Okay,
Give
so
one on Raphael.
you what?
Hold on. Call us back. So I waited.
Is that
Okay.
Lori?
Mama.
Melani Pawlowski, are you there?
I'm here. I miss you.
I miss you. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, perfect.
Good to hear your voice.
Your daddy.
We're alive.
She'll be able to hear you when she stops sobbing.
Oh, I miss you guys.
Oh, did you lose my baby? Where is he?
I'm here. I'm in the ER tonight. And I'm just
And I'm stopping at 8 minutes, 50 seconds. Mr. Pawlowski, we hear several people on there.
Yes.
The first man on the call, did you recognize his voice now that you heard more of it?
Yes.
And who was that?
That was Alex.
And we hear another female join in initially. Could you tell who that was?
That was Zulema.
And it's hard to hear, but did you hear Alex talking about Dave?
Yes.
Do you know who he was referencing?
I believe he's referencing David Warwick.
And he was talking about Dave's not buying anything.
Right.
Do you know what that was in reference to?
I believe at that time they were, Melanie Gibb and David Warwick were both kind of, I don't know how, I never met them in person, never discussed anything with them in person. I never heard them on calls, so I don't know how pulled into it they were at that time. But they were essentially trying to step away because things were starting to get a little too hot.
And the indication was that Dave's not buying it.
Right.
And there was also talk of Melanie Gibb was going to go to the police.
Mhm.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
And she was going to tell the police she never had JJ. Did you also hear that part?
Yes.
Did you know what that was in relation to?
No.
And then at some point, a female says Raphael. Do you know who that was referencing?
Yes.
And who was that?
Chad.
And then sounds like two more individuals joined the call. Could you tell who the female was?
That was Lori.
And could you tell who the man was?
That was Chad.
And there's reference to mommy and daddy.
Right.
Was that in relation to Melani as if she were their child?
Correct. Yes.
And you talk about Melani sobbing.
Yes.
Were you present with Melani?
I was.
Did she appear overcome with emotion?
Yeah. She was relieved to hear their voices.
Had she not heard from them in some time?
Throughout those first few weeks, they had a tendency to call in and then disappear for a few days or a week at a time.
And did you know where Chad and Lori were located when that call took place?
No.
Mr. Pawlowski, I'm sorry, would you scoot up a little
Yes,
closer
of
to your
course.
mic while you
And
testify?
I think if you put the mic just under your chin, I believe they're directional.
Okay.
Might pick you up a little better. I'm next going to move to, actually, let me try to get it there. I'm going to be starting at 9 minutes, 25 seconds.
Oh, I passed yesterday too. Yeah.
Well,
I was out yesterday. She attacked us all so bad.
it was emotional for me yesterday. Like, I just missed my kids like nuts. I was bawling in the temple, but
Your Honor, I'm going to stop it at 9 minutes, 40 seconds. There was some talk on there about some attacks, and Melani talks about an emotional attack in relation to her kids. Do you know what's being referenced there? Was someone actually being attacked?
There were no physical attacks. What they're referencing were spiritual attacks from Satan.
Did that link back to the blessing that you were given by Chad?
Yes.
Had you heard of spiritual attacks before, like they were talking about them?
Yes.
And had you heard about them from someone besides this group?
I had only heard these types of attacks from Melani.
Or going to be moving to 14 minutes, 15 seconds.
it's horrible. Is he one of the bad ones? Horrible. Is he one of the bad ones?
Yeah, him and Hope are the two bad ones.
I wondered if it was Lieutenant Ball. Lieutenant Ball kept bringing me food and water, and I was like, is he poisoning me? He's like, here's some fresh banana bread. And I was like, I don't know about this banana bread.
He's probably good. The other ones are good.
Hope, you said?
Hope and your guy, your investigator guy. Those are the two bad ones.
Yeah, so he has all my stuff.
And stopping at 14 minutes, 44 seconds. In there, do you hear the reference that Hope and Hermosillo are the bad ones?
Yes.
Do you know where Hope and Hermosillo work?
Yes.
Where do they work?
Rexburg Police Department.
Next, I will be going to mark 20 minutes, 38 seconds.
So, like, she's all about you.
Just that she's not good. She's she's is doubting and falling because of Dave.
Just that she's gonna go tell the police that she's like,
Yeah, and throw all of us under the bus. I don't know, that makes sense. Remember, I always got that thing about her that, yeah, and I was like, so I was just mama bear claws towards you. Like, I was like,
you can't trust her.
yeah, well, the Lord kept saying, like, Melanie, like, you don't trust her, but just let Lori have her, experience with that. And I just keep, doing what I'm doing. And it bothered me because I was like, I want to trust her because you trust her. And I kept getting something else. So it makes sense now, I guess.
It's Dave that's causing the problem.
Yeah. Well, how do you see it going, I guess? Like,
that is bad for her in every way because we can't trust her anymore. Because that, for one. For two, it ruins her place with us. But for three, you call the police and you tell them that you're a liar, and then you try to tell them something that's the truth. They're going to be like, you just said you were a liar.
right,
So I don't know if I trust that at all.
right.
So you kind of shoot yourself in the foot. You call them, tell them that you lied, and then try to tell them the truth.
Right.
So I don't see it going anywhere bad for any of us.
And stopping at 22 minutes, 18 seconds. Mr. Pawlowski, do you hear in there again talk of Dave and Melani?
Yes.
Do you know which Dave they're referencing?
It's still David Warwick,
And the Melanie?
Melanie Gibb.
And did you hear in there again talk of Melanie was going to go to the police and tell them she lied?
Yes.
And do you hear Lori's responses that there's going to be three things for her?
Right.
One, that she's essentially lost her place with this group. Is that correct?
Yes.
One, she has all this knowledge and she may be accountable for it.
Yes.
And third, that now she's going to go tell the police the truth after lying.
Yes.
Do you know what Melani Gibb had lied to the police about?
She had lied to the police about having, I believe it was just JJ in her possession.
And again, there's a reference to Dave kind of being the problem or Melanie's falling because of Dave. Did you hear that as well?
Yes.
Your Honor, next I'm moving to 22 minutes, 45 seconds.
So Julie had said that you guys felt that maybe we should consider going to Idaho Falls for a little while, and we prayed about it and felt like, I don't know, I felt like either one will be fine. Like, we're going to be okay no matter what. So I don't know if there's a better option and a good option, but we kind of just felt like we're okay to stay there. Like, that's our home and we're making it just our place of light and it'll be protected. But is there something we need to be aware of, or?
My only worry was if they're still watching you.
Yeah, bugging you and
Yeah, well, they are. And they're probably tracking my phone and listening in or whatever, but I'm aware we're just doing our own thing and kind of just hanging out together. So we're at my apartment.
Where you're at, okay?
Well, right now we're in Jackson, but we've just been sleeping at my apartment, and we're putting the 30 days on his apartment. He lives literally across the street at those other apartments. So,
Dad did find a house that's really cute, $1,500 a month that's there in Rexburg. That might be a good thing. Maybe you want to move.
I mean, if you guys are thinking we need to move, I kind of felt like we were fine. Like, kind of like, pretty much what can they do? I mean.
And stopping at 24 minutes, 23 seconds. Could you, outside of you and Melanie, could you hear the other male and female on there?
Yes.
Or, excuse me, I don't think you're on there. Outside of Melanie, do you know who the other female was that was speaking?
That was Lori.
And do you know who the male was?
That was Chad.
And Chad indicated he had a worry that they were still watching Melani.
Right.
Do you know who he was referring to?
The police, law enforcement in general.
Had law enforcement talked to Melani?
At that point, I don't believe they had.
And had you talked to law enforcement?
Yes.
Did you know they were actively looking for JJ and Tylee?
Yes.
Moving to minute 26, second 07.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna keep going and going. What can they possibly do?
Well, he says he's not gonna stop until, until they get what they want. So I don't know. There's some.
So you need to get out of that complex.
Okay.
Not rush out of there, but they're not going to leave you alone. I could sense the network pretty deep, and they're going to see you as the target since you're the only one that they really can find at the moment. For your own sake, for your own sanity, be bad. We know you were led there, and it worked for 2 months for us as we planned and got together, and we found Ian, and now a different phase of your life has begun.
So his kids are in Rexburg and Natalie,
I know. You don't have to move super far away.
just a different city.
Yeah. Madison County, probably.
Well, it's in Rexburg.
I'm not saying you got to decide tonight. The tech complex went from a blessed place to a cursed place due to the
Yeah.
wickedness of the police.
So we do not expect the police to be that wicked.
Well, and if it is just going to be a couple weeks, like we could do an Airbnb and just stay in Idaho Falls somewhere. I mean, Ian works there, and that's close enough to where we could go pick up the kids, and they wouldn't even know that we're not in Rexburg. But do you feel like a whole physical change of address and moving everything to a new place is what will be best?
Yeah, I know it's pain. I think they're not going to leave you alone. So you're out of that city.
Like the Saints in Missouri, I just keep moving and I can't find a safe place.
Oh, baby. Even sugar, even like,
So how do you get Aramitio to stop? Because he's not going to stop. He's so like raged with this whole thing. He was just pacing, like yelling at me, like he's like, I'm not going to stop for anything. And how do you resolve that? I guess.
You get out of it. Fight.
Okay.
He's not going anywhere. It's like the standard story where the wicked stay in one place and the righteous flee. In this case, it's not a whole community, it's you. Giving in, fleeing out of the way of darkness. Like Lehi had to leave Jerusalem. I wasn't expecting this to go on and on, but live every 2 weeks. Maybe get on Zillow or whatever website and just investigate a little bit.
I saw a cute little house for sale in Ashton's further from your work, so probably
40 minutes.
Probably Idaho Falls will be the best. Isn't Rexburg like the place of safety when all things happen?
Yeah, but there's been lots of prophecies about major turmoil there. The plague's going to sweep through Rexburg. Civil unrest. I had a vision of Second East where McDonald's is and everything. Just chaos, people starving, fighting. So there is still a stretch of bad times coming to Rexburg before City of Light.
escape away, and we were told to flee.
Mostly because of agency, right? We were all told to go there, and that was where we were supposed to stay. And because of the agency of the dark, and because Lucifer is able to negotiate terms still to this day about eternal law, he's been allowed to do certain things that had to force us out with the police. We had no idea the police were infiltrated with such dark people in Rexburg itself proper. So we
Makes sense in retrospect, but you don't think that immediately that little Rexburg would be planted with Cain's translated followers, but that makes sense.
because of so many light multi-creations being there, and of course the dark ones are there too. So opposition in all things. So we just feel like it's time to, just because of the situation, not be there for a season.
Yeah.
You don't have to go far, but just get out of their line of sight for your own sanity, and for Ian to be able to go to work and feel like you're okay there by yourself, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it just feels that way. It just feels kind of eerie when Ian's not there. I just don't want to be there by myself.
Right. I mean, you've done everything to decorate that place so cute, do everything so adorable, but
There's just looking on Idaho Falls rentals on Shulia, and there's several that are just as good as your apartment there. Little houses, decent sized houses,
yeah, that was really,
for about the same price.
that's really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go wherever. I'll live in a dumpster with Ian. He's so amazing. So.
But Idaho Falls is pretty good price in terms of rentals, especially this time of year. You should be able to find a nice one.
Okay.
I hate to say that, but it's just pounding me that you need to get out of that city.
Okay.
You did great, babe. You did great with
Oh, we loved it. So amazing.
Yeah,
Grateful for you.
he wanted to know who I went to Arizona with, so I just I drove with Ian, and yeah, I mean,
I'm going to be stopping at 33 minutes, 26 seconds. And looking at the clock, I'm assuming the court would like to break for lunch.
Yeah, I think that would be an ideal time to do that if we can, Ms. Blake. Okay, we'll go ahead and take our lunch recess. We will return back at 1 o'clock.
All right, please.
All right, Mr. Pawlowski is returned to the stand. I'll remind you, Mr. Pawlowski, you are still under oath. And I am going to inquire simply because of the order of witnesses here, and we did have the lunch break. Did you discuss your testimony or anybody else's testimony about the trial while you were on the lunch break?
I did not.
Okay, thank you. You can continue, Ms. Blake.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Pawlowski, right before we broke for lunch, we'd listened to a little bit of a lengthier clip of that recording. Do you recall that?
You'd have to refresh me a little bit.
Do you recall in that clip do you recall hearing Chad on that?
Yes.
And do you recall hearing Lori?
Yes.
And do you recall there being talk of you and Lori needing to move?
Melanie and I?
Or, excuse me, yes, Melanie and you needing to move.
Yes.
And did Lori talk about that?
Yes.
And did Chad talk about that?
Yes.
And do you recall there being talk of Melanie feeling like she was having to flee?
Yes.
And do you recall Lori responding and basically saying that she and Chad were fleeing because of agency?
Judge, I'm going to object at this point. We're leading the witness.
Sustain.
And Your Honor, I can replay the audio clip if we want to do that.
You can.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, I'll be starting it from 26 minutes and 7 seconds.
Very well.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna keep going and going. What could they possibly do?
Well, he says he's not gonna stop until, until they get what they want. So I don't know. There's some.
So you need to get out of that complex. Not rush out of there, but still. They're not going to leave you alone. I just sense the network is pretty deep, and they're going to see you as the target since you're the only one that they really can find at the moment. For your own sake, for your own sanity, be best. We know you were led there, and it worked for 2 months for us as we planned and got together, and you found Ian, and now a different phase of your life has begun.
So his kids are in Rexburg, and Natalie.
I know. You don't have to move super far away.
Just a different city.
Yeah. Madison County,
Well, it's in Rexburg.
I'm not saying you got to decide tonight, but the tech complex went from a blessed place to a cursed place due to the wickedness of the police.
So you not expect the police to be that wicked?
Well, and if it is just going to be a couple weeks, like we could do an Airbnb and just stay in Idaho Falls somewhere. I mean, Ian works there, and that's close enough to where we could go pick up the kids, and they wouldn't even know that we're not in Rexburg. But do you feel like a whole physical change of address, moving everything to a new place is what will be best?
I do. I know the pain, but I think they're not going to leave you alone. So you're out of that city.
Like the Saints in Missouri, I just keep moving and I can't find a safe place.
Even sugar, even
So how do you get Aramasio to stop? Because he's not going to stop. He's so like raged with this whole thing. He was just pacing, like yelling at me, like he's like, I'm not going to stop for anything. And how do you resolve that? I guess
You get out of it. But
okay.
he's not going anywhere. It's like the standard story where the wicked stay in one place and the righteous flee. In this case, it's not a whole community, it's you. Even in fleeing out of the way of darkness. Like Lehi had to leave Jerusalem. I wasn't expecting it to go on and on. You have to move every 2 weeks. Maybe get on Zillow and whatever website and just investigate a little bit.
I saw a cute little house for sale in Ashton's further from your work, so probably 40 minutes. Probably Idaho Falls will be the best.
And I'm going to pause at 29:47. Mr. Pawlowski, in listening to that, did you hear at the beginning where there was an indication, Melani saying he's not going to stop until he gets what he wants?
Yes.
Do you know who the he is that she's talking about there?
Detective Aramasio.
And do you recall hearing in there Chad speaking as well?
Yes.
And do you hear reference to Melani essentially being a target for the police?
Yes.
So Chad and Lori were aware the police were trying to talk to Melani?
Yes.
At any point in this recording, did Chad and Lori offer to come forward with the whereabouts of the children?
No.
Do you recall in here Chad again telling you and Melani that you should move out of Rexburg?
Yes.
Do you recall Melani asking how she gets Detective Hermosillo to stop?
Yes.
Do you recall Chad's response?
Yes.
What was that?
get away.
Do you recall him saying essentially, you get out of his way?
Yeah, just leave Rexburg.
Did Chad or Lori at any point encourage Melani to cooperate with the police?
No.
I'm going to continue playing.
That's where we work at.
But isn't Rexburg like the place of safety when all the things happened?
Yeah, but there's been lots of prophecies about major turmoil there. The plague's going to sweep through Rexburg. Civil unrest. I had a vision of Second East where McDonald's is and everything. Just chaos. People starving, fighting. So there is still a stretch of bad times coming to Rexburg before City of Light. So we had to kind of pave the way, and we were told to flee.
I'm going to pause at 30 minutes, 32 seconds. Did you hear Chad say, we were told to flee?
Yes.
And at this point, were Chad and Lori in Rexburg?
No.
Did you know where they were?
No.
Did they disclose to you where they were?
No.
It's because of agency, right? We were all told to go there, and that was where we were supposed to stay. And because of the agency of the dark, and because Lucifer is able to negotiate terms still to this day about eternal law, he's been allowed to do certain things that had to force us out with the police. We had no idea the police were infiltrated with such dark people. In Rex.
I'm going to pause there at 31 minutes, 3 seconds. Did you hear Lori talking about part of why they fled?
Yes.
And did you hear her talk about anything in relation to the police?
That they had been infiltrated.
Itself proper. So we
Makes sense in retrospect, but you don't think that immediately. This little Rexburg would be planted with Cain's translated followers, but that's
Did you hear Chad reference Cain's translated followers?
Yes.
Did you know what he meant by those words?
I'm not sure if I learned it before or after that point, but essentially that Cain had his own 12 dark disciples, immortal disciples.
And was Chad referencing those individuals as part of the police department?
Yes.
Judge, objection. Calls for speculation.
Overruled.
makes
it's
sense.
because of so many light multi-creations being there. And of course, the dark ones are there too. So, opposition in all things. So, we just feel like it's time to, just because of the situation, not be there for a season.
Yeah.
You don't have to go far. But just get out of their line of sight for your own sanity and fans, and for Ian to be able to go to work and feel like you're okay there by yourself, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it just feels that way. It just feels kind of eerie when Ian's not there. I just don't want to be there by myself.
Right. I mean, you've done everything to decorate that place so cute, do everything so adorable, but
There's just looking on Idaho Falls rentals on Trulia, and there's several that are just as good as your apartment there. Little houses, decent sized houses,
yeah, that one's really,
for about the same price.
that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go wherever. I'll live in a dumpster with Ian. He's so amazing. So.
But Idaho Falls is pretty good price in terms of rentals. Especially this time of year, you should be able to find a nice one.
Okay.
I'll stop there at 32 minutes, 51 seconds. Did you hear Chad referencing some possible rentals for you and Melani to consider?
Yes.
So, as well as encouraging you to move, he was suggesting potential places.
Correct.
And we talked before about your observations of Melanie's relationship with Chad and Lori.
Yes,
Would you say that she would turn to them for advice?
absolutely.
I'm going to play starting at 34:57.
I know, Dad, you were saying to get some money out just so Natalie couldn't like come after finding out I had money and try to get more child support or whatever. So I went and got 50,000 out, and this banker came up.
Stopping at 35:11. Did you hear Melanie in that recording?
Yes,
And when she says dad, do you know who she was talking to?
she's referring to Chad.
And starting at 35:58.
How grateful we are.
We are.
We love him, taking care of you. That's so sweet.
Mel, do you need another blessing?
Yeah, can you give me and Ian like a combined blessing, whatever comes for either of us? Do you have any questions you want to ask? No. You can ask anything.
Sure.
We don't know what Ian knows, so
Ian knows everything. I have not. Ian has figured out most stuff by himself, but he.
And stopping at 36:29. Did you hear the reference in there to you know everything?
Yes,
Do you know what Melanie was referring to?
the religious beliefs, kind of their mission that they had chosen, what they believed their role was in the world.
Did you learn things about light and dark?
Yes,
Did you learn things about casting?
yes,
Did you learn things about people being zombies?
yes,
And did you learn, was Melanie the one that shared those with you?
yes.
Do you know where they originated?
Chad.
There was talk in there of giving you a blessing.
Yeah.
Do you recall if Chad actually followed through with that?
I believe he did, yes. I think everybody took part in it.
And again, we talked before about a blessing you received over Zoom.
Mhm.
For this blessing, you were not present in the same place.
No.
So was this out of the ordinary with what you would expect within the LDS faith?
On this current recording?
Yes.
Yes.
And starting at 39:06.
We go to Mel and Ian in Jackson and invite all those others
Raeliel and Ilana.
to join us and all others in the heavenly realm that are willing to participate at this time. Come jump in, baby. So we all lay our hands on your head. This will be a dual blessing. Gave Zulema and Al blessings yesterday, and the angels filled the room, and I feel that the same numbers are there again. Same wonderful helpers, angelic ministers are there, happily joining in on this blessing. So at this time, I say to you, Ian and Melani Pawlowski, by the power of the Holy Melchizedek priesthood and the patriarchal order of which we are a part of, and in the name of our Savior Jesus Christ, we lay our hands upon your head in a united effort of happiness for your union and how vital it is to the overall plan of our Lord and Savior in these latter days. You are a powerful couple with unlimited potential, and you'll be utilized by the Lord in tremendous missions of life and salvation. Or you'll team with Mother Earth to help cleanse the earth at times through earthquakes, moving mountains, changing rivers, but also healing hearts of mankind through your powerful testimony. Trials you're going through right now are events that you'll be able to share with others who are experiencing trials in the future. You'll be able to relate to them and understand what they've been through, the persecutions that they've faced by supposed Christians, and you will make it so much easier for them to transition to accepting the gospel. I see you both all over the world through portals, helping those who need to come to Zion. I see you back and forth, raising your children, but also leaving them in the care of trusted family members because of your great power and importance. You will spend days and weeks at a time helping bring groups to Zion. Those are wonderful promises, and I know they will come true. I bless you now on a more personal level. Melani, you can quickly heal from your illness. That this combined group will use their healing power to strengthen you and bless you. We reach into your physical body and extract any spiritual or physical illnesses, pain, phobias, all kinds of possible darkness that has been implanted in you. I remove it all. I sever all negative cords, and this blessing includes the end that we are doing this for you as well, Ian. Severing all negative cords and clearing you of weapons and lifting curses that may have been placed upon you. Now I just cleanse you of that darkness that was placed in you at the police station. Once again, we just thank you for your valiant way, your strong, resolute devotion to the gospel and to our team. What you've accomplished this week will resonate with you throughout your life and through the eternity. The blessings that you'll receive for your faithfulness, for taking the steps you have. I bless you now by binding your hearts together more than ever, literally wrapping around each other and putting cords of light around them, that you cannot be separated spiritually, and that even the times where you're apart, the physical world, you'll still feel that connection and unity. You are a special couple who have known each other in the past and have helped each other so much already. And your union will be looked upon as a true love story, happiness and how to treat one another. Will be an example to thousands and even millions of how a man and a woman should respect and love each other. I bless your union and know that the Savior is standing there with us, and he is very pleased, very, very pleased with your choices. They might not make sense to the celestial world, but in the terrestrial and celestial world, they make perfect sense. And for your valiant efforts, you will be memorialized, and they're singing praises in heaven. I see it. Fire of thousands, like they make up the songs as they go, like Lolo does. But they're praising you too right now, and just singing to the heavens for what you've accomplished. And I do want to include Alan's dilemma in this blessing again. Just what a tremendous friendship we formed. 6 of us are on the right track. I assure you of that. I give you my testimony that this is a power team that we are the genesis of the 144,000. We don't say that boastfully. It just is the beginning of a new terrestrial order. And Ian, we're so grateful you're a part of it. We love you already so much. We miss you and can't wait to see you again. And we will see each other again soon. It feels like we're going into different corners of the world for a short time. The changes are coming quickly to the earth that will allow us to reunite and not be under the pressure of the celestial police forces, that they will have greater problems to deal with, and even those that are pursuing us may have their lives with effort. And that will open up the way for us to use our powers fully and to continue to cleanse the earth and to bless it. Mother Earth loves each one of us and knows us. We will be helping her remove darkness from this world. I promise you a home in New Jerusalem. All of us will each have homes there. That will be our home base as we work under the direction of the Savior. And we will have wonderful reunions there in between our missions. It will be a glorious place where the vibrations will just radiate constantly. We'll feel the love of the Lord tangibly. We will be beacons of light. We will be pillars of fire. Blessings that have begun for us will just continue to accelerate. So I bless all of us one more time with physical strength, spiritual devotion, and emotional stability as we face these small but trying times. The trials are real, but we will overcome them. And the Lord is watching over us. And I leave this blessing upon us all in the name of Jesus Christ and fill it up unto heaven. Amen.
Mr. Pawlowski, did you hear talk in there of portals?
Yes.
Do you know what was being referenced?
My understanding is at the time, well, now is, and at the time was that upon reaching a certain ability or level of spiritual worthiness and strength, you could open up a portal and step through it and land anywhere you saw fit.
Is that something that you had ever learned about before in religious teachings?
Not in that context, no.
And then there was talk of cords as well, cutting cords. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Do you know what was meant by reference to cords?
My understanding is cords kind of act as anchors to negative things or positive things, things that tie you to a negative force or a positive force.
Was that something that you'd heard about before in a religious context?
No.
And then there was reference to removing spiritual weapons. Do you know what was meant by that?
That they were similar to cords was my understanding, that there's something that could bind itself to you basically and wound you spiritually.
Had you ever heard of that type of teaching in a religious setting before?
No.
And then did you hear in there or recall talk of the 144,000?
Yes.
And do you know what Chad's role was with the 144,000 or what he claimed it to be?
144,000 would be the group of individuals that would bring in the second coming of Jesus Christ.
Do you know if Chad and Lori designated themselves the leaders of that group?
It seemed that way, yes.
And do you recall again reference to of darkness in the police?
Yes.
I think he made reference to the telestial police force.
Yes.
Do you know what would have been meant by the telestial?
So in traditional LDS faith, there are 3 kingdoms that you would pass into after judgment: the celestial, the terrestrial, and telestial. So telestial is basically the earth that we live on now. Terrestrial is a step beyond that. Celestial is, the fullness of glory.
So the telestial police would reference the police here on earth?
Correct.
And do you recall in there, Chad indicating that they would have greater things to deal with eventually?
Yes.
And then a reference that it would open the way for us to use our powers fully?
Yes.
And then do you recall Chad saying that they could continue to cleanse the earth?
Yes.
Do you know what they intended to cleanse the earth of?
Not specifically. There were, things that Melani had shared she was worried about. There were discussions of earthquakes that could happen to, tear down. There was one that was talked about that was going to happen in Utah, and at that point, anybody who was wounded or weakened would be possessed, and you'd have to cleanse those people or cast out, whatever had possessed them. Casting out wickedness, spreading the gospel, that sort of thing.
So the people that would be cleansed or cast out would be those that were possessed?
Correct.
So those labeled dark?
Correct.
And turning to 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 39 seconds.
Oh,
Serena?
so, but she could.
It's just sad for Gib.
We worked on Gib spiritually, healing her and helping her and cutting her cords from Dave all day.
Yeah, I worked on her
last night.
today too, just sending her lots of love to cast out all this fear that's inside her.
It was all just fear. It's all celestial fear. And I needed to remind her, and I didn't get to talk to her, but I needed to remind her, like I did when she was getting divorced. You are not a celestial being anymore. So don't go to the celestial world. But that's what she's doing and Dave's talking her into doing it. So I need to remind her she's a terrestrial being. Dave is not. That's the problem.
So he's not gonna be.
And he's not going to be at this rate. He's not going to be. So sad. I wanted that for her, but I love her so much. It's such a doll.
Yeah, I know.
But I don't think she's going to do it. She's down to, what's her percentage now? 10% that she might do it.
That's good.
I think she wrote it down, and after she wrote it down, she doesn't really want to do it. So I don't think she did it, but she's down to 10% that she's going to do it.
We want to know our...
We'll stop at 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 55 seconds. Again, in there's talk of a Dave and Gib. Do you know who those individuals are?
Yes, David Warwick and Melani Gibb.
And there's talk of Lori telling Melani that she needs to get over just has telestial fear. So again, would that be referencing earthly fear?
Correct.
And then she references that Melani's not a telestial being anymore. She's now a terrestrial being.
Correct.
Do you know what's being indicated there?
That she either she had gone through the process of translation or she was going through it.
And there was reference as well to cutting cords from Dave. Do you recall hearing that?
Yes.
And again, you described you could be attached to something positive or negative.
Correct.
If it was negative, is that when you'd want to cut the cords?
Yes.
So the indication would be Lori viewed Dave as negative.
Correct.
And you mentioned translation.
Yeah.
Had you heard of translation before?
Yes.
Had you ever heard of it in the way that Chad and Lori were teaching it?
It sounded similar. I had heard of it in scripture. You talk about the city of Enoch being translated, taken up into heaven, that sort of thing. But I had never heard of it in the exact context that they were talking about.
And turning to the 1 hour, 23 minute and 29 second mark.
Walking all the time.
Well, we gotta do. Yeah, there's nothing else to do. I could help. There's not one dollar. Yeah, Al, you know better.
And stopping at 1 hour, 23 minutes and 41 seconds. Did you hear Al on there indicating there's nothing left to do in Rexburg?
Yes.
And did you hear someone respond, yeah, Al, you know better?
Yeah.
Do you know who responded that?
Sounded like Chad.
At the time this call was placed, do you know if Alex was still living in Rexburg?
He had left Rexburg at the time this call had been placed.
Do you know if he still had an apartment there?
He did.
But he was not residing there?
Correct.
And Your Honor, we can go off of casting for a moment in the HDMI.
Okay.
And excuse me, Mr. Pawlowski, I'd ask you about another recording that was made the day Alex passed away. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And do you believe if you were to hear some of that recording that you would be able to recognize it?
Absolutely.
Your Honor, I have what's been marked as States 266B. My intent would be to ask to publish a portion of it for to allow him to lay the foundation.
All right. For that limited purpose, you can publish just enough to lay foundation.
I remember you giving
And Mr. Pawlowski, could you hear a couple women on there?
Yes.
Are you able to recognize who they were?
That was Melani, who was present in the room, and then Lori was on the phone.
And do you recognize this recording?
Yes.
And is it the recording that you made approximately December 11th of 2019?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would move for admission this state's exhibit.
266B, have you had a chance to review that, Mr. Pryor?
I have reviewed that, Judge, but I'm going to ask that we're going to be admitting that we admitted it in its entirety, please.
And the state's intent would be to admit the entirety. I have it as 56 minutes is what will be admitted, and the state would intend to simply publish portions today.
Okay. Well, exhibit 266B is admitted. And as you did in the previous exhibit, Ms. Blake, reference the portions that are being published, so the record acknowledges that. And with that, you may proceed.
And Mr. Pawlowski, do you know if Melani was close with Alex Cox?
Yes.
Was she upset by his passing?
Yes.
And this recording is made the same day that she learned of his passing?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm moving to minute 6. Well, 6:40 is the timestamp.
I mean, it's sad. Like, so what do you believe in anymore, Mel? It's nothing. Like, you know, it's just sad for her.
It's so sad for her, like,
But
she gets in a break from it.
I kind of had a glimpse of that today because I was like, what's going to happen with that? And she was like, did you know Lori said that she felt inspired to say that I had JJ? And I was like, yeah, you were inspired to say that. Because look what's happened. Like, and I don't know.
I was inspired to say that. I had to work research, so I was like, I don't want to say that.
it's happened how it's supposed to, I feel like, and it's just sad for her, but I had a glimpse of her, like she's just doing this because she wants Dave so much, and Dave is totally deceived her, and I had a glimpse of her, like, when everything goes down, and it's like us standing together, like, she will feel, like we'll just embrace her with love, but she'll come around finally.
And stopping at 8 minutes even. Mr. Pawlowski, again, we hear talk of a Melani and Dave. Do you know which Melani and Dave that's referring to?
Yeah, Melani Gibb and David Warwick.
And Mark being 8:44.
It's been a huge part of our life to talk to them every night.
Yeah.
They're like our only friends. You guys are all
I know. I call him every day. I just, even if we talked about nothing, I just need to talk to him and report to him and tell him everything.
And stopping at 9:05. Did you hear Lori in there referencing someone that we talk to every night?
Yes.
Do you know who that reference is in regards to?
I believe at that time they were referencing God.
I'm going to 9:18.
Do you know my other phone, is it being tracked or recorded or listened to? My 480 number?
Jolene, you had. Yes, we're getting yes.
Okay, so I'm keeping it. I just talked to Ian on it basically and make sure there are phone calls. So
I've got a line for my. I said, what's funny?
yeah.
Let me give you a blessing. I'm sure Al will join us.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, Ian's gonna join too. We'll go on my closet.
I'm going to pause here briefly at 10 minutes even. Did you hear in there Melani inquiring if her phone was being tracked?
Yes.
And what was the response from Lori?
That they were getting yes.
Was it common for Melani to turn to Chad and Lori for answers?
Yes.
And Judge, might I inquire, is the volume all the way up on the courtroom speakers?
We'll check because it is difficult to hear.
I'm seeing a nod yes. I think this one's just a little more difficult to hear.
Okay.
I just wanted to verify. Continuing on at the 10-minute mark.
And I'm going to with the house. Many darkness are booby traps or time bombs that might affect you, and raise the vibration in the house. You put sheets of light around all sides and they protect you above and below, and close all dark portals that are nearby. You can feel protected. The dark side can be kept at bay. So this time, Melani Pawlowski, by the power of the Holy Melchizedek priesthood and the patriarchal order, and in the name of Jesus Christ, we lay our hands upon your head and invite many others to come. Oh boy, might have been Moroni out of the way. You know, I'd like that. Right there. We love you, Al. So grateful for you.
You love you back.
But dear Mel, we bless you now with strength and power. You've been so courageous and valiant, faithful, and such a true friend. Always wonderful person. time. I include Ian in the blessing as well by removing any weapons or curses or negative cords that are attached to either one of you. Just sever them all and turn those curses to whoever sent them and destroy the weapons that you can feel powerful. We fill you with life and love, strength, with our healing solution. Pour that into your bodies so that every bit of you, every cell can be rejuvenated and feel that strength. We bind your hearts together. You are an amazing pair. Love you both so much. Bless you with confidence in the Lord. You are moving forward, both of you, so well. Jesus is with us. We are being guided and instructed. And seems like such a tragedy, but Al is triumphant, exalted. And he is saying over and over, I can help you so much more now. I couldn't believe the avenues that are now open to me to help you. Help now, help with the children. This is my next step of my mission, to help you all from this side in a powerful, protective way. Ways that I could not even imagine. That's what he's saying. I will, he said. Frankly, I will. Fear not. I am with you. Sharing that it was the Savior himself who told him it was well done. You can now move forward and continue your mission. You hardly got a break. I don't think you've got a life review, which is probably fine with him. But he is at work. He is already on the job helping us. I bless you now with physical strength, healing. Your body can feel mended and whole. Bless you emotionally. I lock down any anxiety, emotions, your anxiety gene. I put it aside and lock it down. We can feel calm with this struggle. I bless you spiritually that your knowledge of the gospel and its fullness is strengthened, and you know it is true. And again, I bless you to continue to just have that faith. You are a powerful man. You're on the Lord's team. I know you're struggling with your ex-wife and those kind of issues, but the Lord is with you more than you ever believe. He's right there. In that room, there are dozens of angels who are eager for you to succeed. You will. I bless you with the ability to communicate with us more regularly. We'll figure out ways to do so. Stay in touch to strengthen each other and bless each other. And now turn it over to Lily to add a few more words to this blessing.
Melani and we're so grateful for you as people and as powerful warriors on our team. Our team has been dwindling. All the people that we've trusted, that we can count on you to be valiant, faithful warriors. I'm so proud of you, so grateful for you, and love you so much. I've seen and know that you have great missions ahead of you, that you will be in New Jerusalem with all of your children. You will be happy there, and you will go from there, and you will be given assignments directly from Jesus Christ, and you will go on assignment, and you will go rescue lots of children. I've seen Melani being in charge of how the children being brought back will be distributed and helped and loved, and she didn't think she liked that job, but she is going to love that job. It's something that she is great at organizing and helping and loving all those children. You will both have the opportunity to love so many children and help so many children in this lifetime. are grateful for you being strong. It's been hard. But I endow you with power at this time to have that strength during this time of sorrow. We sorrow for ourselves because we'll miss our friend and buddy, but we do not sorrow for him, for he is powerful and glorious at this very moment and more powerful to help us in this celestial world as we move swiftly and quickly into the terrestrial world. As we are destined on that course, the Lord is coming soon. And we are his warriors that are cleaning and purifying the earth and preparing it for his coming. He has asked us to do so on this errand, and you are both a part of that number one team. It is our job, and we will do it. And he will come and rule and reign in majesty and power and might, and everything will be glorious, and there will be no more tears, and there will be no more pain. And I promise that you will be there by his side, as will we. You were destined for this. You were born for this. You have been prepared for this. Do not doubt. Do not fear. Have great faith and go along each day knowing that the Lord is aware of both of your situations. His hand is in it. You will send his angels, including Alex, his wonderful warrior, to clear the way that you will be reunited with the children, and it will be a glorious reunion. Do not fear and do not doubt. Call down angels to surround you at all times, legions of angels that we have in our charge that will be round about you at all times, that they may help you feel peace and comfort as you go on about your daily celestial tasks that you must do. And remember, you will be reunited, and it will be glorious, and it will be soon.
I'll show up this blessing for both of you. Seal it up in heaven. The angels will not leave you desolate this evening. You'll feel them throughout the night and into tomorrow. Guide you in every step. We do this all in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
You're welcome.
And pausing there at 1917. Mr. Pawlowski, we'd talked before that you were open to these ideas for a brief period of time.
Yes.
When these recordings were made, were you still open to these ideas?
No.
In that, excuse me, in that blessing again, did you hear reference to removing weapons
Yes.
and removing curses,
Yes.
cutting negative cords?
Yes.
And again, is that something that you'd ever heard in religious teachings prior to this group?
No. Removing curses had been something that I'd heard about, but cords and weapons I had not.
And had you heard about it in the context that Chad and Lori talked about it?
Yes.
And these are two calls. When you were recording the calls, were there any other times that Chad and Lori were on any calls?
You'd have to refresh my memory. There's I believe there were, I want to say there were 9 recordings that I made, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I believe so, around 9.
And I don't remember all of them. If you were to play them for me, I could absolutely identify them. But
You'd be able to. In the times that you would have conversations with Chad and Lori, was it common for Chad to offer up a blessing?
Yeah.
Did you have very many interactions with Chad where a blessing wasn't given?
No.
Was that something that you were used to within standard religious teachings?
No.
And continuing on from that 1917.
Mel, what did you talk to Julie about? About Al's witness? What is she planning on doing? Do you know?
She called me first. I was like, well, what did mom and dad say? And she said, I just called you first.
I know.
She said, I don't know what he would want. And they said he just didn't care about anything in this world. He just wanted his guitar out of his house. He didn't want anything. And so I said he probably would want to just have it be simple and cheap, like be cremated. And they said, talk to dad. Dad knows how to do all that stuff since he was a sexton.
And when we hear Melani refer to mom and dad, do you know who she's referencing?
Chad and Lori.
And then she talks about dad being familiar with that. Do you know who that dad is?
Yes, that's Chad.
Right. But
Yeah, that would be the best way. I think a lot like Charles, just simple.
but not at all like Charles.
Well,
In the sense of maybe have him cremated and
Well, what are you gonna go to Arizona or can you or what do you think?
we don't know yet. Maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should deal with the family at all. I don't know if the police are gonna let them know or they're
Yeah.
just gonna leave it to Zoe to let people know if she should even let anybody know.
Yeah, I thought of that too, that maybe it'd be better if I don't want Brandon to know. I want him to be in fear of Al the rest of his life.
Well, he should be more in fear of him now than he ever has been. I'm
Yeah.
sure he's number one on his list.
Yeah, I just felt so much peace during that blessing.
Number two.
I felt so much peace during that blessing that like Al's like gonna be with Breezy and Braxton and
Absolutely.
And I'm going to pause there at 2056. Did you hear conversation there about Chad and Lori, whether they were going to travel to Arizona?
Yes.
Do you know why Melani was wondering if they were going to go to Arizona?
Because her kids are in Arizona.
Do you know if Alex's services would have been in Arizona?
That's where Dilemma lived, so that was the most appropriate location.
And then moving forward. And going to 2237.
so I don't
So
know.
I was telling Al that Tammy, I don't remember if we told you this, but Tammy was here the other day and said how the Rexburg police are ridiculous. And she told me that as
We know already.
converse with her. And then Al was laughing at that so hard. So I'm like, he's going to be handling the police from now on.
Yeah, he can handle Hermosillo from now on. I was so upset though because they still have all my stuff and like I don't care about my things, but I have a hard drive that has all my pictures on it and
Right.
I'm just frustrated with them. Like they have no reason to even keep it, but
They don't, but they're just corrupt. So,
so
they're just
are they the ones tracking my phone or is it Brandon? Or both?
that's Rexburg.
Yeah, they are checking you.
I'm going to pause at 2330. Mr. Pawlowski, did you hear a reference to the name Tammy?
Yes.
Do you know who they were referencing?
Tammy Daybell.
Do you know at this point in time if Tammy was alive or not?
She was not.
And Melanie's inquiring again about her phone being tracked. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Did you hear Chad's response as to who's tracking her phone?
Rexburg.
And is that in reference to Rexburg Police Department?
Yes.
Continuing on at 2330.
Just have faith that we'll get all of that back for you.
We
Yeah,
will.
I don't care. It's just I just didn't know if I needed to call them and get it back or if I should if they call me and say they want to give it back to me, they're going to do what they did last time and just corner me in a room for hours.
I'm told that if you talk to them again, it'll start the circus over.
So just avoid them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Al's passing us kind of a marker for us all to just move forward. Trust in the Lord. I feel bad.
I'm going to pause at 2407. From that conversation, does it sound like Melani had talked to the police before?
Yes.
And does it appear that Chad's encouraging her to speak to the police again?
He's not.
Is he encouraging her to avoid them?
Yes.
And then Chad makes reference to with Al's passing, basically it's a chance to move forward.
Right.
Do you hear that in there?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Continuing on from 2407.
Those items are still at that police station, but hopefully soon we can just get them back for you.
They told us they were going to give us all of our stuff back from Charles too, and they've never given it back to us. They have no intention of giving it back.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, I feel like if he comes to try to talk to me, like I'll just be shut down. I'll just be like, look, like I just lost my uncle. I don't want to, like, I'm not talking about anything, you know.
Yeah, I don't have anything to
I
say.
don't have anything. I already said everything, and just leave me the freak alone and give me my stuff back or don't, but just don't talk to me. So,
Right.
but we're gonna stay here in our little apartment here in 174.
Okay,
And
we'll protect it. Also, we could probably, it's the same landlord as the 175.
yeah, it is. So,
So you could maybe email her or something and tell her that Al passed away and so he's not going to be doing the lease anymore or
I think he
whatever.
just put in his 30 days.
He already did.
I think he already did, but I should let her know.
Yeah, just so whatever you want to do with that stuff, give it away or whatever, it's fine. We
Yeah.
don't care about anything in there.
Yeah, Al wanted me to just call DI and see if they'd come take all the stuff in the house, but I don't know if they'll do that.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Goodwill maybe would, I don't know.
Okay. You guys don't want anything out of there?
Nope.
I wonder if Zuli does.
I'm pausing at 2543. Did you hear Melani inquire if Chad and Lori want any of Alex's belongings?
Yes.
And did you hear Lori's response?
They don't want anything.
And this is the same day that Lori's brother had passed away?
I believe it was the day after that this recording was made.
Even the day after. And she wanted nothing of his.
Right.
Continuing on from 2543.
We just took his swords and his guitar, all his like musical stuff. That's what he wanted. And
Right.
so,
Take the Band Hero and the Xbox 360. I hope you already have it.
yeah, we got that.
Okay, good. So yeah, I don't care about anything in that house. So
Hey, is this your number?
this is the number we're using today, but we might text you from a different number tomorrow.
Okay, well,
This is the phone we were talking to Al on when all that happened, and they went to search the house, so they probably got his phone.
yeah, well, you have my number, and I feel like it'll be, I don't know, I feel really safe with this phone. Like I set it up really carefully with, so.
Yeah, it's good, babe. We have your number. I wrote it down on a piece of paper, so that way I can call you.
Okay. Maybe I can give you Ian's number or something, but you can always call me through Zuli or something too. So.
Right.
I'm going to pause at 2650. There's talk in there of Chad and Lori maybe changing their phone number. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Did you learn whether or not it was common for them to change their phone numbers?
Yeah, they went through quite a few burner phones.
Did Melani always have access to that information?
Not always.
Did she sometimes have to rely on them to reach out to her?
Yes.
Did she always make sure they had a way to reach her?
Yes.
Continuing on at 2650.
Yeah, we'll just send a password, what word would you recommend, just to let you know it's us.
So we were using Pretty Bird if it means your phone is not safe or the cops have your phone. And then we were using Not Happy Bob if it's safe to, is that if it's safe to call?
Safe, yeah.
So, but the police have seen those text messages, so they might be onto that. So let's say Jamie Powell.
Jamie Powell?
Yeah, Jamie Powell, if it's like good, if it's you and it's good, it's safe to call. And if it's not safe to call, then we'll say, Daddy, we're down.
Okay, that's good. Jamie Powell and Daddy, we're down. That's fine.
And stopping at 2744. There's talk there of some code words. Did you hear that in there?
Yes.
Do you know why the code words were necessary or why they wanted to have those?
They wanted to be sure that whatever phone they were using to communicate was not being tracked by the police.
And moving to 2929.
Everything's going to be different. But Al set it up that I had Chad and you got Ian just before he left. He had to have us both protected because he was our protector.
Yeah.
And he couldn't go until that mission was accomplished. So I'm so grateful that you have Ian. Yeah, don't ruin it with Ian. Be not.
Gonna stop at 2955. In there, did you hear the reference to Al being a protector?
Yes.
Do you know who designated Al the protector?
I don't.
Judge, I'm going to object unless there's some foundation.
I'm asking if he knows.
Overruled.
I don't know.
And moving to 3001.
Oh, she's not going to run me off.
Never need to talk to Dad. Here I am.
There you go.
Yeah.
Did you hear someone on there saying, ever need to talk to Dad? Here I am.
Yes.
And who's saying that?
Chad.
Do you know who he's saying that to?
Me.
At any point, had you referred to Chad as Dad?
I may have. I'm sure. I'm pretty sure I'd kind of taken that up and just, in support of Melanie and how she looked to him.
Did you look to Chad as a dad?
No.
Did you look to Chad for advice?
No.
Moving to 3107.
If you have any feelings like I shouldn't go there, then just let me know. But otherwise, you could probably leave tomorrow and just drive. I don't feel safe flying. So after the police incident.
Yeah.
I'm not getting a yes or no yet. We just need to see what's transpiring with her, but then we'll talk and decide.
Okay.
Don't get up and pulled out of there at 6 a.m. or anything.
Okay. I'll just wait to hear from you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And stopping at 3145. Do you know where Melanie was planning on going in that conversation?
I do not remember.
Did you hear her inquiring of Chad for advice?
Yes.
And did you hear Chad's responses to her?
Yes.
And did Chad ultimately direct her to wait to hear from him?
Yes.
And again, was it common for Melanie to turn to Chad for advice and counsel?
Yes.
I may have just a moment.
Yes.
I have no further questions.
I'm going to suggest we take our mid-afternoon recess at this time. We'll go ahead and take about 20 minutes. And I do briefly want to discuss an issue just with council in a sidebar. So we'll do that now.
All rise, please.
Mr. Pryor, you can start with your cross-examination whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, Mr. Pawlowski. My understanding is that your marriage to Melanie was when?
November 30th, 2019.
And prior to Melanie moving to Idaho, you hadn't met her before, is that right?
Correct.
And Melanie moved to Idaho in late November?
It was mid-October, I believe.
Okay. But you met Melanie through a LDS site, is that right, on about the 19th of November?
A dating app, yeah.
All right, on the 19th of November, sir?
Yes.
Okay. So from the 19th of November of 2019 to the 30th of November of 2019, your courtship was about 11 or 12 days, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And then you decided to get married after the 11 or 12 days, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. That's not particularly unusual in the LDS faith, is it? For early or quicker marriages, correct?
I'd say it's faster than most LDS marriages.
Okay, but for the most part, it's not unusually that for
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
Sustain.
Okay. And you met Chad for the first time on November 23rd, 2019?
Yes.
Okay. And you talked about all of these discussions with Chad. Other than November 23rd of 2019, isn't it true you never spoke to him face to face again until after that time?
Correct. I only met him in person on the 23rd of November.
And the only other contact you would have with Chad Daybell were these 9 recordings that you recorded. Is that fair?
There was one additional contact where I called and spoke with him and Lori directly.
When was that?
That was on November, I want to say it was the night of Thanksgiving, probably the 24th or 25th of November, 2019.
Were they on vacation somewhere at that point?
I don't know where they were.
Yeah. Was that a lengthy phone call?
It was probably about 45 minutes.
Okay. 4 to 5 or 45?
45, 4 or 5.
Okay. Now, in regards to your wife and Alex Cox, did they have frequent phone contact?
They spoke pretty regularly from, for the short time that I knew Alex.
And how would you define frequently?
Every other day, every 2 or 3 days.
Okay. And was that by phone call or was that by text message or was it by some other medium?
Phone call and text.
Okay. And you heard on the tape recording, I believe it was the second tape recording where either Lori or Melani defined Alex as their protector. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. And you're aware of some of the allegations regarding your wife and Alex and Brandon Boudreaux. Is that right?
I'm aware.
Okay. And in that situation, do you disagree that maybe Alex was Melani's protector on that day?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for speculation.
Overruled.
I believe that Al was not acting as a protector.
Alex was not acting as a protector?
If he had her best interest in mind, he would not have done that.
Okay. All right. But you could perceive where Alex felt he was being the protector on that day when he takes a pot shot at Brandon Boudreaux, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you're also aware of Charles Vallow, correct?
Yes.
And you're aware that Alex is accused of murdering Charles Vallow
Yes.
at close range? And are you aware that Chad Daybell is not implicated in that?
I was not.
Okay. But you're aware that Alex was implicated in that, correct?
Yes.
And the victim in that case, Charles Vallow, was Lori Vallow's husband, correct?
Yes.
So once again, Alex was the protector of Lori in that situation, right? Just like he was the protector of your wife with Brandon Boudreaux, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. Counsel's testifying.
Sustain.
Move to strike.
Strike that answer, or I'm sorry, the question.
Okay. Did you ever get any information that your wife was a suspect in this case?
No.
Okay. Your wife lived close in proximity to Lori Vallow, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And would you say that your wife was and Lori were as far as relatives, as close as relatives could get?
Yes.
Okay. There was a mention of your wife being in the ER tonight. What was that all about?
She was suffering a medical condition that was causing her a lot of pain.
Okay.
And we went to the ER to sort it out.
Okay.
Mr. Pryor, I apologize to interrupt. I want to have a quick sidebar with counsel. Quick issue taken up outside the presence of the jurors. We're not going to take a break necessarily. If they could just line up outside the hall, this should be very quick, and then we'll go back on after I address that outside of the jurors' presence.
Yes, sir. All rise, please.
right, thank you. Please be seated. All right, counsel, the court was advised of something that concerned me during the testimony of this witness, nothing that you did, Mr. Pawlowski, but I do have a concern. Mr. Pawlowski has counsel here in the courtroom. The attorney that's here representing Mr. Pawlowski, I'm going to have him exit the courtroom at this time. If the marshals please assist him out of the courtroom, and he's not going to be permitted to remain through the testimony of this witness. Mr. Pryor, if you want to briefly inquire on the issue we raised on the sidebar, you may do that outside of the presence of the jurors, just as to whether or not there was any potential influence of the witness's testimony.
Mr. Pawlowski, the gentleman who was just escorted out of the courtroom, do you know who that is?
Yes, that's Garrett Smith.
That's who?
Garrett Smith.
He's an attorney?
Yes.
And he's licensed in which state?
Arizona.
Okay. And at this point, Mr. Smith was listening to your testimony, is that correct?
Yes.
And at some point during the testimony, Mr. Smith was nodding his head and acknowledging to you about responses to my questions. Is that in fact true?
No.
Okay.
All right, that concludes the inquiry then, and we'll go ahead and have the jurors return for additional cross-examination. So if everyone would rise for the jurors, we'll go ahead and have the jurors brought back in.
So, President, counter for Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Please be seated. All right, we're back on the record now on CR 22-21-16-23. The court did call a sidebar there. I would instruct the jurors who have returned now to not speculate as to what occurred in the sidebar. I will note it was nothing that counsel did on his cross-examination, nor that the witness did. And so please don't speculate as to what occurred. But Mr. Pryor, with that in mind, you may continue.
Okay.
I'll also mention it was nothing the state did as well. It was just something the court observed. Go ahead.
Mr. Pawlowski, you mentioned Melani Gibb.
Yes.
Did you have an occasion to get to meet Melani Gibb?
No.
Okay. Now, you understand there were discussions around the 23rd of November about the disappearance of 2 children by the Rexburg Police Department here. Were you aware of that?
Yes. At the time, well, can you give me some context on timing?
November 23rd, 2019?
Right, but as far as when I would have learned about it?
Well, you were aware that on that date, the police were looking for J.J. Vallow, is that correct?
Yes, I learned that later, yeah.
Learned that later, okay. And you went and had contact with the police the first time when?
December 5th or 6th, I believe.
Okay. And that contact, at the time of that contact, were you aware that on November 5th or 6th, Melani Gibb had not gone to the police to tell them her side of the story?
I had not.
Do you recall on the tape recording, the first tape recording, 266A, where there's a discussion that there's only a chance Melanie's going to do this, or there's a chance that she's not going to do this?
Right, yes.
And that was in reference to whether or not she was going to the police and tell them the truth, correct?
Right.
And that recording took place with you on what day, sir?
That was December 6th or 7th.
Okay, so on December 6th or 7th, would it be safe to assume that at that point, Melani Gibb had not gone to the police about the whereabouts of JJ?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation. I think the recording speaks for itself.
Sustained.
Okay. So the personal knowledge you have is that you don't know at that point if Melanie had gone to the police, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But there was a discussion about whether she was going to do that on the 5th or 6th, right? Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now was there ever an occasion where the police asked to look at your wife, Melani Pawlowski's phone?
The only occasion I recall is when I was there at the police station, they were tracking her location.
Okay, they were tracking her location then.
Right.
Okay. There is some reference to the name Hermosillo.
Mhm. Yes.
Is that one of the police officers that you interviewed with on the 6th or 7th?
Yes.
And that Hermosillo is who?
He's currently lieutenant at the Rexburg Police Department. At the time, he was a detective.
Okay, but that's Lieutenant Ray Hermosillo?
Correct.
Okay. And your wife on one of the recordings, I think it's at 3326, mentions that Hermosillo is raged. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay, he's yelling at me. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. The police were harassing her?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Overruled.
Did you recall her saying the police were harassing her?
Objection, Your Honor, misstates the audio.
Sustained.
Do you recall her something saying not going to stop until they get what they want?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at any time, did Lori Vallow tell you or Melanie that this was all about a custody fight over the children with Larry and Kay Woodcock?
There were never any details discussed as to why it was happening.
Okay. So in other words, they didn't tell you that it was one issue or another, just that they weren't going to disclose where the children were, correct?
Correct.
And when they say they weren't, they meant Melanie and Lori and Alex, correct?
No.
Well, Chad never told you that the children were dead, correct?
No.
Chad never told you that the plan was that he was going to kill the children, correct?
That would be foolish. But
Okay.
No, he didn't.
Okay. Chad never discussed in any of these 9 or 10 recordings that you made that his intent was to murder anybody, correct?
Correct.
And during the discussion, there was a talk about getting out of, was it Madison County?
Rexburg.
Rexburg's Madison County, right?
Correct.
Okay. And there was discussion, I heard references to Idaho Falls.
Yes.
And you would know better than I would, but Idaho Falls is about a half hour south of Rexburg.
Correct.
So it wasn't that they were saying run away and hide. Isn't it true they were saying get out of Madison County because it's a dirty county?
That's what they were implying.
Hey, do you know who the prosecutor is in Madison County?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance, argumentative, move to strike.
Sustained. Strike the answer or the question.
But the theme of this was that they felt that that Melanie and Lori and Alex felt that the police department were corrupt in Madison County. Is that right?
Objection, Your Honor, misstates the audio.
Sustained.
There's a discussion about Cain, and you recall that. You gave an explanation for that, correct?
Yes.
And they were talking about Cain being, well, I'll ask it this way. Were they talking about these Cain figures being the police in Madison County?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever heard the term fundamental Mormon?
Yes.
What is your definition of a fundamental Mormon?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
Sustained.
Okay. There's discussions about castings.
Yes.
And you mentioned that in some context, castings are consistent with the LDS faith.
Yes.
And in fact, there's references, and I just forgot his Newell. Was that one of the subjects where there was a casting performed by Joseph Smith? Do you recall that?
I don't.
Okay. So the idea of having a casting is not something that's new or unique to the LDS faith. Is that right?
No.
And when we have a casting, what are we talking about specifically?
The idea of a casting is to remove remove evil from someone.
Okay. And if you're someone in your faith and removing evil from someone or a spirit from someone in your faith as part of the LDS faith, that doesn't mean that the person dies at the end of that casting, does it?
No.
In fact, in your faith, if you perform a casting on someone, the human part flourishes and moves on, and the evil spirit is extracted from that person, correct?
That's what's hoped, yes.
And that's part of your faith as an LDS person, correct?
I've begun to separate myself from pretty much all religion at this point.
Okay. Now, we talked a little bit about the three kingdoms in the LDS faith. And could you talk to me about what the three kingdoms are that you were referencing in the LDS faith?
Yes. So the celestial kingdom would be the fullness of glory.
All right, hold it. You're going to go quick for me. So we got to slow down and
Okay.
let's do one at a time if that's
Sure.
okay. Celestial kingdom is what?
That's where you would receive all of the blessings promised. It's a fullness of glory. That's the highest attainable reward.
And then when you're in the celestial kingdom, where are you?
You're living with God in heaven.
Okay. And then before you get there, what's the next one?
It would be the terrestrial.
And what is that one?
It's a paradise, and if you were to compare it to Earth, it would be a paradise,
Okay.
basically. And
Kinda-
also heaven, just a lesser version of heaven.
So, and I'm not trying to minimize this, I'm trying to understand this.
Sure.
So it's a halfway point between being with God and halfway between somewhere, correct?
Right.
And then before you get to the halfway point, what's the first one?
Telestial
And where are people in the telestial?
on Earth.
Okay. So there are three kingdoms. You start with the telestial, and that's most of us.
Right.
Or it's hopefully most of us, right?
So celestial would be your earthly kingdom. Terrestrial is halfway between here and there. The celestial kingdom, and celestial is the highest.
And what do you have to do to get from one to the next one?
Just keep the commandments, live in accordance with God's law, take out covenants in the temple. And just live and then uphold those covenants as you live through your life.
Live a good life.
Yep.
Okay. And when you say obey the commandments, you're not going to reach the celestial kingdom if you violate any of the commandments, right?
Correct.
Or you'll have to make some sort of can you do something to solve if you violate one of the commandments? Is there something you can do to fix that before you get there?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Sustained.
Okay. Now, you talked a little bit about the 144,000, right?
Yes.
And again, that's referenced in a number of biblical references, correct?
Right.
Yeah. And that's the people who are here who move on when the second coming of.
It depends on who you're talking to.
Okay.
My understanding of the 144,000 is a group of chosen people that will herald in the second coming.
Okay. So isn't it true? It's not that Chad was saying he was leading the 144,000. He just felt he was part of the 144,000.
Objection, Your Honor. Misstates the prior testimony.
Sustained.
Isn't it true that Chad was helping to gather the 144,000 and that he didn't believe he was leading the 144,000?
Objection, Your Honor. Misstates the prior testimony.
Sustained.
Okay. Is it possible that Chad was conveying to you that he was going to be part of the 144,000 and that he was not leading the 144,000?
Objection, Your Honor. Misstates the prior testimony. Asked and answered.
Overruled.
Isn't it true?
The understanding that I had is he had taken a leadership role in gathering the 144,000.
And Chad never said that he was going to take over the Lord's role, right?
I can't remember if it was specifically with him or not. There was some discussion about that, but I don't remember hearing that specifically from Chad. No.
Okay. There was some reference at about 2650 on the second tape. We were using Purdy Bird, or what was that about?
Code words.
Yeah. What was that about?
So there were a lot of burner phones that were being purchased and used,
Okay.
and to avoid using a compromised burner phone, code words were used.
But Melanie also said we were using in reference to some email communication, implying that both you and her were using that to communicate with Lori and Alex. Do you have any recollection of that?
I don't remember any email communication where that was used.
Okay. And you would say that Melanie's view of Chad and Lori was more of a mother and fatherly relationship. Would that be fair?
Yes.
Okay. Not necessarily a religious leader of her, more of a fatherly, motherly figure, correct?
No, I'd say both.
Okay. And during the tape, I heard, and this was Lori Vallow saying that she was talking to Tammy,
Yes.
and that was Tammy Daybell.
Yes.
Did she happen to mention how she was talking to Tammy?
She did not.
Okay. The other issue is that there was some discussion about Alex wanting certain people to have some of his items.
Yeah.
Correct?
He wanted his, well, I don't remember specifically.
It's okay.
You have to refresh me.
But something about a guitar.
Yeah.
Xbox.
Yep.
And some other miscellaneous things.
Mhm.
Right. So was it your understanding that Alex knew that he was going to be passing away?
No.
Are you aware of the circumstances in which Alex Cox passed away?
Yes.
And what is your understanding of why Alex Cox passed away?
He suffered a pulmonary edema.
Okay. He had some health issues.
Mhm.
Okay. Natural causes then.
Yeah.
Okay. Did Alex ever display to you or discuss with you the fact that he was aware that he had this pulmonary edema?
No.
This was a sudden situation that came on without any notice. Would that be fair?
There was a point where Chad and Lori contacted Melanie and stated before Alex died that there would be a powerful spiritual attack.
Okay. But you're saying that that at least in your mind, there was no powerful spiritual attack. He died of a pulmonary edema, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But again, the question was that you had no knowledge of any of Alex's health issues before that you were aware. You and Melanie weren't aware that Alex had any health issues before he suffers this pulmonary edema. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. There was some discussion that I heard about vibrations. Do you understand this vibration stuff?
Basically in the same context that, an energy worker or some, you see somebody walking around with crystals or, that kind of thing would talk about vibrations, just an aura or anything like that. That's my understanding of it. I never heard a whole lot of it outside of that.
Okay. So it's not something that, at least in your mind, is mainstream as part of your religion.
No.
It's something that would be outside of your religion if someone was doing energy work. So if someone's saying they're LDS and I do energy work, would it be fair to say they might be a little misguided?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Sustain.
Okay. And if I could just have a moment, Judge, may I?
Yes.
We had the opportunity to listen to a couple of lengthy blessings. Blessings in general are not something that's unusual within the LDS faith. Is that fair?
Yes.
People give each other blessings all the time.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily mean they're I'm going to use the wrong word, patriarchal blessing. I'm not talking about patriarchal blessings. I'm talking about just general blessings. It's not unusual for people within your faith to say, I'm going to give you a blessing.
Correct.
And that happens, I don't want to say frequently, but regularly.
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that it was Melani's belief that she was being harassed by the Rexburg Police Department?
Yes.
Okay. And do you believe that it was Officer Hermosillo who was harassing Melani Pawlowski?
Yes.
Okay. There was some reference in 1917 on the second tape that your wife said something, well, we don't want to tell them that Alex died, because something about continue to let him fear for the rest of his life. Who are they talking about?
Brandon.
Brandon Boudreaux?
Correct.
So when that reference was made, your wife didn't necessarily want to tell Brandon Boudreaux that Alex died because she wanted him to be fearful of him of Alex for the rest of his life.
I don't know that she honestly felt that way. He's the father of her kids, but she had a lot of frustration toward Brandon at that time. And
the relationship with her and Brandon was, to say the least, was a heated custody battle, was it not?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, Judge, I don't think I have anything else. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Pryor. All right, you can redirect, Ms. Blake.
Thank you. And Mr. Pawlowski, to be clear, the recordings that were made for law enforcement, Chad and Lori are not on all of those recordings. Is that correct?
Correct.
And the two that we heard parts of today, Chad and Lori are on those recordings, correct?
Yes.
At some point, did you learn whether or not Chad and Alex had had conversations regarding the attempted shooting of Brandon?
There was a misunderstanding that I had so when Melanie and I were married on our wedding night, there was some discussion about that. Yes.
And you were asked about your belief that Alex was the one that took the shots at Brandon. Is that what you believe?
Yes.
You were asked about your wife, Melanie, and Lori being close. Is it fair to say they were close?
Yes.
And you said it was your belief that Melanie did not move to Rexburg until sometime in October, like mid-October?
Yeah.
Is that your recollection?
So
Could it have even been later in October?
might have been November.
Are you aware that JJ and Tylee were last seen in September?
Yes.
So before your wife relocated here?
Correct.
Do you know where Melanie was living before moving to Rexburg?
She was in Chandler, Arizona.
And you were asked about the Rexburg Police Department being dark. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Do you recall Lori and Chad telling you that they were dark?
I remember the phone calls where they discussed that. Yes.
And you had gone in and met with the police on approximately December 5th. Is that your recollection?
Yes.
When you met with the police, did you learn that they were looking for JJ and Tylee?
Yes.
And there was reference on the audio, and counsel asked again about it, about Detective Hermosillo was not going to stop. Do you recall that?
Yes.
What was Detective Hermosillo doing?
Judge, I'm in objection. He doesn't have any knowledge of what Hermosillo was doing.
Overruled.
Do you know what Detective Hermosillo was doing that he wasn't going to stop?
He was investigating the whereabouts of Tylee and JJ.
So Detective Hermosillo was trying to find a missing 16-year-old.
Judge, I'm in objection. It's a leading question.
Sustained.
Did you have concerns for the safety or whereabouts of Tylee and JJ?
Yes.
Did the police indicate they shared those concerns?
Yes.
Did Chad ever offer to tell law enforcement where Tylee and JJ were?
No.
Judge, I'm going to object. Lack of knowledge.
Too late, Mr. Pryor. Sorry.
Based on your conversations or conversations you were present for, did Chad ever indicate where the kids were?
Judge, objection. Lack of knowledge.
Overruled.
No, he didn't.
Did Lori ever indicate where the kids were?
No.
Do you recall in the recording where they indicated Melani would be a target because she was the only one they knew where she was located?
Yes.
At that point, did Chad or Lori offer to do anything to assist with finding the kids?
No.
In what you learned regarding how Chad and Lori taught castings, what had to happen to the body if someone was possessed?
Judge, objection. There hasn't been sufficient foundation.
Overruled.
The idea was that if a casting failed, the body would be destroyed.
You were asked about Melani believing that law enforcement was harassing her. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Do you know who she was talking to about law enforcement?
Chad and Lori.
Do you know who was telling her to avoid law enforcement?
Chad and Lori.
Do you know who was telling her law enforcement was dark?
Chad and Lori.
At some point, did you learn where Tylee and JJ were found?
Yes.
Where was that?
Chad's backyard.
I have no further questions.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Blake. That will conclude the testimony then of Mr. Pawlowski. I'm going to inquire from the state and then the defense, is there any intent to recall this witness?
No, Your Honor, he may be released.
No objection to releasing him, Judge.
Okay. Any subpoena you were under, Mr. Pawlowski, is you no longer have to be concerned with. You are released from those subpoenas. Thank you for appearing to testify, and you can go ahead and step down.
Thank you.
All right, so that concludes that portion. We are going to stream yesterday's Lori pretrial hearing, and then we're going to go bounce over to California versus Carlos Dominguez. So hang with us for a moment. This is for her to get rid of Judge Beresky, which is the judge that sat on her Charles Vallow trial and is also sitting on her current attempted deletion of Brandon Boudreaux. So let's get you over here.
Good morning, everyone. The court calls CR 2022-00124201. This is State versus Lori Daybell. Appearances, please.
Trinity Kay on behalf of the state, and for the record, the victim is appearing virtually.
Thank you.
Lori Daybell for the defense.
And Pamela Hicks, advisory counsel.
Thank you. There was this got set very quickly. There was a media request that I became aware of in passing, literally on my way over here. I don't have a written request. I have not read all my email because I've been on the bench this morning. Do you want to make a record with regards to the media request from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, from the defense?
No.
Okay. I don't see anyone here. I thought we would address it on the record, but I don't see anyone present from the media. Okay, I assume there's no objection if they come in. Ms. Kay?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Daybell?
I always object to them, yes.
Oh, you object to them?
Always.
Okay. Is there anything you wanted to put on the record?
No.
All right. My thought is if they come in, we can address it. All right. The court's, this is the oral argument on Ms. Daybell's motion for change of judge for cause. The court's in receipt of and has reviewed motion to disqualify judge. This was filed on May 20th, and the state's response to defendant's motion to disqualify judge. Ms. Daybell, I've read your motion. In summary, the way I read it, you're asking for the court to remove Judge Beresky for cause under Rule 10.1. You cite several reasons, specifically that he's denied various motions. You mentioned facial expressions. You mentioned a belt and his not allowing you to remove it. You assert that he violated your speedy trial. There's a mention of religious persecution and an allegation of personal bias. So you're going to get, and then the state's response is that simply that the defendant does not establish judicial bias, appearance of bias, or fundamental error. Of course, under Rule 10.1, the court is evaluating whether or not Judge Beresky can be fair and impartial and whether he can conduct a fair and impartial trial in this matter. So I'm aware of the allegations. You'll have the opportunity to go first, then I'll allow the state and to address the court, and then you'll have the last word. Whenever you're ready, Ms. Daybell.
Okay. I did file this motion in this.
I'm sorry, can you pull the microphone so I can hear you?
Sorry. I did file this motion in this affidavit after several attempts to. I made an oral motion with Judge Beresky and asked him to recuse himself because of the bias and prejudice that I had seen during our last trial and throughout the whole entire time that he has been the judge over all of these cases. And he refused to do so. So I thought I needed to put it in writing and put all my points in that I felt like were causing him to be biased and prejudiced against me, and that obviously you've read it, so you've seen all the different things that I put. There was an actual comment during trial when I was cross-examining one of the witnesses where he said to me directly after an objection from this state that I was comparing myself to biblical prophets, which I absolutely was not doing, and I didn't even realize it until someone showed it to me on the FTR afterwards that he had even said that, because I was in the middle of questioning the witness. And so there's several times that he made comments directly to me. I tried to address this with him directly in our last hearing on May 14th, where I asked him why he had denied every single motion that I had ever filed in the last year and a half. And he said that my motions had no merit. I asked him if my prior defense team, that he denied all of their motions, that they had no merit as well. And then I asked him, my prior defense team before that, all the motions they filed were denied, and did they have no merit at all either? And I asked him again if he would recuse himself from this case so that I could get a judge that was impartial and fair and have a fair trial. That is my right, my 6th Amendment right and my 14th Amendment right to have a fair trial, an impartial trial, and not a judge who has some kind of bias against me.
All right. Anything else? Thank you.
Judge, just the prior defense motions almost all exclusively dealt with motions to preclude the media. Judge Beresky applied the appropriate law in finding that the media had a right to be present and tried to limit it by saying things like they couldn't focus on the defendant's papers or things like that to mitigate any of the concerns by the defendant. All of the defendant's motions that she has filed have been without legal basis. They've been appropriately ruled on, and the state's motions that the state has won have been ruled on based upon, again, legal basis. So the fact, as the court is well aware, that the defendant has had all of the motions ruled against has no basis for bias if they're all been ruled on based upon the rules of law and the rules of evidence. So we see nothing that the defendant has provided here that would rise to a level to preclude or recuse Judge Beresky from this case.
Thank you. Ms. Daybell, you can have the last word.
Yes, also, along those lines, Your Honor, that's one thing that I asked Judge Beresky, is that he has denied all these motions with no finding of fact and no conclusion of law. I said, what is the finding of fact and conclusion of law? These are just denied, 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 denied. He's also denied several attempts for me to try to ask the state for discovery that he's just denied outright. And then as I keep filing more and more, as I find out what we don't have and I ask for it, I'm continually, even to last week, getting brand new discovery with brand new Bates numbers, stuff that they realized they never even had before that hadn't been turned over. And I've been asking Judge Beresky for these items for a year and a half. And I'm getting them 1 week before trial. We start picking our jury today. We're supposed to be doing our strikes today. And along those lines, I had this motion about the RAC belt that I had asked him about since we went through this whole trial, and there was times when the belt didn't fit around me, so it fell out of my clothing. We had to stop trial and I had to go fix it. And that is what MCSO recommended, that if that was too burdensome, that they would put an armed guard in the back. And because of the media that Judge Beresky has let into every single one of the hearings and the trial, that they already have an armed guard back there. So it wasn't going to cost the state any more money. It wasn't going to cost anything if he just had them remove the belt and went over the security that the MCSO actually recommended. Every single thing that I asked for has been denied. I feel like he does have a personal bias against me, and all I'm asking for, I went through a whole trial with him, even thinking he was biased against me before the trial started. I filed for a new motion because it came to our attention through the media. The media sent Judge Beresky a clip of one of the jurors saying that he found out about my prior convictions beforehand, before his deliberations. And this is the same exact juror who was brought in twice during trial by Judge Beresky, where he had to admonish him for, one, being on his phone, and two, talking to one of the other jurors about the case. And now he's saying, well, he went on another media thing and said that he took it back. He took back what he said, so I'm not going to give you a new trial, and nothing was done about it. He refused to call them in and have a hearing and put him on the stand under oath and ask him if he found out this information prior to deliberations. It was very confusing, and everything is just outright denied. I want to go to trial. I want to have a fair trial, as fair as possible. I don't feel like I can do that with Judge Beresky, and I would like to be appointed a new judge who wouldn't know anything about the case and be fair and as impartial as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. I've considered the written motion and the response, and certainly your comments today from both sides. Ms. Daybell, I find that the fact that you disagree with Judge Beresky's substantive legal rulings is not a valid basis under Rule 10.1 to grant your motion and give you a new judge. The standard in 10.1 is, has he demonstrated he can't be fair and impartial? And the fact that his rulings have not gone your way is not a valid basis to suggest that he can't be fair and impartial, unless there's some other allegation of bias that's been demonstrated. I don't find on this record that it has been demonstrated. I certainly understand your frustration with the way that the rulings have come out, and it sounds like the way that they came out with prior counsel. But the things that you have cycled through at length in your motion to disqualify, I've considered all of them. Whether or not he should have ruled differently, for example, the example you gave with the juror, or with making findings of fact and conclusions of law in writing, some of the issues you have, if you have concerns about his substantive legal rulings, you can file a motion to reconsider, or you can take them up on appeal. You can file a special action. You have a number of legal remedies at your disposal where you can make those arguments, but they're not grounds under Rule 10.1 to get a new judge. So I am going to deny your motion. Again, as for your concern about his substantive legal rulings, you can address those concerns in a different way, but it would not be under a 10.1. And on this record, I don't find that he's demonstrated that he can't be fair and that he can't be impartial. I also wanted to address the comment that he made that you illustrated. That comment alone doesn't demonstrate that he can't be fair and impartial. I'm not exactly sure of the context where he made it, but it sounds like he let you ask a question with regards to religion, and that was his decision. But again, I don't think even that demonstrates that he can't be fair or impartial in this case. All right, so I'm denying the request to disqualify Judge Beresky under Rule 10.1. Is there anything else from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else, Ms. Daybell?
Nope.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
I love that. Is there anything else from the state? No, Your Honor. Is there anything else from you, Ms. Daybell? Nope. All right. Thank you guys for watching. We are going to end this. This concludes our pretrial prep for Arizona versus Lori Daybell. Let me bring us over here. Trial starts June 2nd, which is Monday. We will be covering it in full. We will have Joe Schmo will be in the courtroom as he was with the Charles Vallow court trial. We will be doing recaps with him every day. We'll do a recap every night, I should say. We'll do a recap of the day. So if you guys aren't familiar with Joe, definitely check him out. Joe Schmo 88 is his YouTube channel. He's also on Twitter, JS Media. Definitely check him out. So thank you. We're going to conclude here, and we're going to shuttle everybody over. We're going to portal you over to California versus Carlos Dominguez, where we are continuing that coverage as well. So thank you to Aaron. Thank you to our mod squad. Thank you to chat for being with us. Thank you to, as always, I leave you with Super Ball. There's a little Super Ball. And there's Slim Pickens and little Ember sitting on his lap. Polly, the pregnant Polly is kind of off camera over there, but she literally is due like any minute. She is so pregnant, you guys. But we'll be filming that, taking pictures, and we'll be posting that for you guys as well. So also don't forget, tomorrow we have our 1-year anniversary stream for everybody that is new to our channel. We will be speaking starting at noon Eastern tomorrow. Nick Starro, who is an attorney over in Sweden. We have Sneaky Side, who's a friend of the channel. We have Joe Schmo, who I just mentioned, has a great channel. He's going to be at Lori's trial starting on Monday. We have Recovery Addict. Scott, Recovery Addict, will be with us. Broken Baker will be with us. True Crime Addict. Florida PI Sam. Trial Junkies United will be with us. She's got a great channel. Definitely check her out. Same with Florida PI Sam. Same with True Crime Addict. Then Therapist You Know and Dr. Rachel, 2 of our fantastic mods, will be joining us. So definitely mark your calendars. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. We're on Blue Sky. Of course, you can always look on our YouTube channel to see what's upcoming, because we have a lot of really great stuff lined up for you guys. So thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you. I'm going to end this stream, and I'll portal us all over to Carlos Dominguez. See you then. Bye.